Hi everyone, it is a beautiful day out and it is a beautiful day for books. I can't wait to show you these books that I'm adding to my middle school library classroom. It's a bit of a challenge to serve a library for 11-year-olds to 14-year-olds because the interests vary, but I found these 6 books. How many did I get? 6 or 7 or 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books that I think students will love. Let's see, I went to 2 different local bookstores, and the first book that I'm going to show you today is called Sky's End, and I'm really excited to include these. None of these books are books that I have read, and I used to be kind of nervous to put in books that I haven't read, just due to content. We try to keep the content literary level pretty high at our school, so I thought that this one would be good. Basically, it's a dystopian where in the sky lands, it says, "No one can be trusted and no act is selfless. If 16-year-old Conrad means to have vengeance on his murderous uncle and rescue his sister, he must enter the selection and he must rise." So it's giving a bit of Hunger Games meets The Selection for me, just based off of the inside cover and the synopsis that I read. But another requirement that I had was that like boys would like it. I feel like we didn't have very many male readers come through the library last year, so that's book number 1. Book number 2, Zachary Ying. What's it called? Zachary Ying and the Dragon Emperors. And the Dragon Emperor. This book seems really good. Kind of like a quest story, the chosen one like scenario is the vibe I'm getting. To save the mortal realm, a young hero must journey into a world where myth and history collide. Not super riveting there, but okay, I'll read you a little bit of this inside cover. Zachary Ying has never had many opportunities to learn about his Chinese heritage. His single mom was busy enough making sure that they got by, and his schools never taught anything except Western history and myths. So Zach is woefully unprepared when he discovers he was born to host the spirit of the first emperor of China for a vital mission, to seal the leaking portal to the Chinese underworld before the upcoming Ghost Month blows it wide open. So there's a little bit more to it, but the way that the first bit of text that I read seemed good. The writing quality seemed high, the dialogue seemed believable, and that's kind of how I pick up books I've never read before. Of course I read the synopsis, I flip open the first couple of pages, and yeah, then I start with the first page. I'll skim this, see if it grabs me, see if it, again, the writing style seems good, and then I'll just kind of flip through. I'm looking here for really brief, I mean, if you've read a lot of books, you know when books are good and when books are bad. So I'm looking for that high quality literary writing style. And I'm also looking for things that would make me not choose this book. So if I happen to flip it open and a swear word pops out, I would be like, okay, if I flip a couple more pages, am I gonna see another swear word, or is that just like the 1 or 2 that are in there? If it's like swearing every chapter, it's not gonna get into our library, but if it's just once or twice, that's fine. And other things I'm looking for, you know, are the poetic quality of the writing. Literary devices are used. You can tell pretty quickly if something is solid or not. And like with newer books too, sometimes I'm looking for how they use, I don't know what it is, like newer literary devices, like if there's texting involved or if there's like emailing or something. Sometimes you can just tell. So this seemed quality, and all of these seemed quality. The third book, A Magic Steeped in Poison. This looks really good. This is about a girl who poisons her mother by accident through brewing a poisonous tea, but then is chosen to be a tea preparer or something for like the emperor. When Ning hears of a competition to find the kingdom's greatest, I'm gonna have to look up how to say this, greatest Shenong Shi, masters of the ancient and magical art of tea making, she travels to the imperial city to compete. The winner will receive a favor from the princess, which may be Ning's only chance to save her sister's life, which is also going on. So again, when I was looking through this, start with the first page, it looked good, flip through it, it looks good to me. The dialogue seems solid. The narration also seems believable, and it seems consistent throughout. Okay, another book that I came across is The Last Bookshop in London. I actually have read this one. This is historical fiction, and I'm looking to beef up my historical fiction for the middle school. So if you know of good recs, modern recs, please let me know. Drop them in the comments. I haven't read anything other than I Must Betray You by Ruta Septys. I'm not sure how you say her last name. Septys, I think is how you spell it. So she's on my list, my radar, and like that's kind of it. We have some of the classics, but anyway, I'm looking to expand that. This is about a woman in the time of World War II in England who happens to help with a bookshop and kind of draws the community together through books. Beautiful, heartwarming, happy endings. It's wonderful. Okay. Other books that I got, these books are to fill out my library Olympics display, which I'm using to start off the school year with. I needed to get the sequel to Crossover by Kwame Alexander, so this is Rebound. Yeah, what I like about this book is it's written in verse. I mean, most of his stories are, so that's a bit unusual. It's nice to diversify with that. I know that that's much more of a thing now. I didn't realize this, but there's a bit of a comic or graphic novel element to this as well, so that will go over well with students. And again, it's fast-paced, and I think it's something that male readers will enjoy. Also, Mid-Air, this seemed awesome, especially since skateboarding is part of the Olympics now. Another book written in verse, a little bit different than Kwame Alexander, like the lines are longer. The attitude is a little different of this, and yeah, I'm super excited to read this. I wish, like, I want to be the first one to check it out. I just got these yesterday and school starts tomorrow, so I don't think I have time to read this in between because I'm cramming to read the Sammy Keys stories as well as other library books from my public library that I have to get through before the deadline, but this looks so good. Mid-Air, Alicia D. Williams. I cannot wait to read this and have my students read that. Two more. This one is called Nikki on the Line. I love girls in basketball stories. We don't have very many of them. There were several boy basketball stories that I saw and considered, including Resball, which I wanted to get, but our local bookstore just didn't have it. So thankfully this was here instead. And as a former basketball player and hopefully future basketball player, I am just like stoked to see this. So let's see. She likes basketball. Seems like she's played it for a while, but she gets into another league or maybe another school and everybody is as good as her or better. And so she's wrestling with what does that mean for her? Does she lose her spot on the team? She has to fight for her spot on the team. She has to care for her little brother after school, and her best friend is like spending time with other people, and her science teacher has assigned this family tree project that's going to be challenging for her. So like everything is kind of like chaotic for her, it seems like, on top of can she learn to compete at this new higher level. So again, this looks so good. And this I think was on the middle grades section. So my library spans middle grade and young adult because I have both of those readers. And sometimes it's tricky because everything's available to everyone. So while I might pick a book and put it on the shelf, or might want to pick a book and put it on the shelf for an 8th grade reader, that might not necessarily be the book I would choose to recommend to a 6th grade reader, especially like the first week of school, but it's open to everybody. So I'm finding a balance between that and anyway, I hope that these books are good. The last book that I grabbed was a free book at our local store. They get advanced readers copies and they can't resell those, so they have a free pile. So I grabbed it. It looked good. Octopus Moon. Never heard of it, but it looked great. It's also written in verse. The verse seemed solid. I'm a bit of a snob, I think, sometimes because I have a pretty solid background in poetry and literature. So not every verse book, just because it's written in verse, doesn't mean it's good. But this one seems solid. This says, 10-year-old Pearl loves watching the majestic loggerhead turtles and octopuses glide Isn't it octopi? Glide through the water at the aquarium. Pearl finds it especially easy to identify with again, octopuses? With the octopi, who have millions of touch receptors all over their bodies. They feel everything. Sometimes Pearl wishes she was more like a turtle with a hard outer shell. It hurts too much to feel everything. So again, this is kind of like the start of the school year, new changes, kind of like the Nikki on the Line book. Octopus Moon. I can't wait to read this. I can't wait to read all of these. Who am I kidding? This one, Walk the Line, Mid-Air, Booked, The Last Bookshop. I gotta put these down. A Magic Steeped in Poison, Zachary Ying and the Emperor, Zachary Ying and the Dragon Emperor, and Sky's End. Ugh, I just like, can I just be a student again and just go read all of these? Another thing that excites me about these books is that I haven't seen them like popularized, and that might seem weird, but I've seen a few like covers come around on like popular YA book reads or this or that, but a lot of what's popular right now in YA is fantasy and romantasy, and like honestly that's just, I love to read that. I like to read it. I'm in the middle of a series right now. But it's not something that I would necessarily include in my middle grade / YA library. So anyway, I'm excited to see these new-ish titles for me, things I haven't really known before. Maybe these are some new ideas for you, just to help, and new ideas for students to push them beyond what's like popular, because if you only read what everyone else is reading, you're only going to think what everybody else is thinking. So we have to have diversity in here, and that includes different titles and new titles. So I'm super excited. Yay! Let's get going. I gotta go finish my other 5 million books that are waiting for me so I can finally get into these. And yeah, maybe you will too. Let me know also if you've read any of these, please. I'd be really curious to know about that. Okay, now for real, goodbye and happy reading, and I'll see you next time.